Most reps aren't losing deals because they're lazy. They're losing because they never make time for the right deals. They're stuck in the grind, chasing the easy wins, checking activity boxes, and looking really busy. Meanwhile, the multi-six, the multi-seven-figure opportunities, the really big ones that actually truly make an impact, they're stalled, they're forgotten, they're dead in the water. And here's the kicker. Your pipeline reviews and the weekly one-on-one, they're not fixing it. They're just recycling surface level conversations. That's why we built something called Target Time. It's a monthly war room designed to force deep work, real strategic thinking on your most complex, high leverage deals. I mean, one of my clients used the exact system to go from 0 to 500K plus deals and closing 2.1 million in 90 days. Another client leveraged the same system to close a $180 million 5-year deal, earning himself over $9 million in a commission payout. Absolutely insane. So this is a very simple structure. There's no fluff. It's not fancy. It's just a wickedly simple structure that works. And I'm going to break it down for you step by step today. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So here's the big problem. Majority of your reps feel like this guy inside the hamster wheel. They're dealing with all types of meetings inside that they worry about. They have follow-ups inside. They have small deals. They have all the admin. They have a bunch of stuff that is constantly making them go round and around in this circle while literally spinning the wheels, and they lose focus on the big things, such as the big deals outside of that hamster wheel they're running in every single day and every single week. And it's not that they don't want to perform, they just get sucked in with trying to drive a number every single month and every single quarter. While the reality is strategic deals take time to work and require deep work to actually progress forward. And on the flip side, you have some other reps in which they actually spend all their time on the biggest deals, but they're actually not doing any strategic work because they get pressure and pulled the wrong way and then driving activity. So even their effort is not quite focused and directed towards doing the right things. So as leaders, we want to create the environment for success. And this is something I found out years ago because I used to run the run rate play with just drive my reps, drive really high activity to get results. And it kind of works for a while, especially if they're like an SMB team. But once you have like mid-market reps or enterprise reps, it really doesn't work as well. But on top of that, even if you have SMB teams, when you drive them just towards run rate business, it's a fast rate to actually burn out. And they don't develop some of the strategic skills that allows you to take these SMB deals and make it far bigger. So once I realized that I was part of the problem, I had to create a better system for that. And that was what we call Target Time. And Target Time is a designated block on the calendar every single month. And the way we did it was, I typically like to have it on the 4th Friday of every single month because it just kind of worked really well. Now, some teams do a 3rd Friday. It doesn't really matter. The point is more so you have a dedicated time on the calendar where everyone's coming together for a 5-hour block where all you're doing is pure deep work, working on the highest leverage and the biggest deals in the pipeline. And on top of that, it is a very structured time in which there is training built in, there is deal reviews, and there's execution. So we're helping build the right habits across the board for the reps. And because as a leader, I took it very seriously. It wasn't just a time block people had on their calendars, like, all right, just do it at home and like good luck and hopefully that you do it. As a leader, it's my job, my responsibility to create the environment for success. Now, I ran an in-person team for the most part, and then over time I had remote teams as well. But it's a set time where everybody comes together. So it could be via Zoom all together, or it could be in person. Either way, you want to create the environment. So for me, especially with the in-person team, I made sure, we brought coffee in. So all the reps had coffee. We brought back breakfast in. This is, if you're looking at my screen, it's a terrible picture of a donut, but we brought fruit. We brought, snacks for them to have. For my remote teams, we sent them stuff, right? Or we sent them money to go get stuff for Target Time. So this way they can have breakfast and work together and have their coffee or tea, whatever they wanted to drink, as part of a team bonding exercise. Now, once they walked into the office, right, we had music going, right? So this way it's already upbeat. Now, I'd like to run at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? And that worked out pretty well for my team. So you can kind of choose a time, but it was a very solid 5-hour block. And we like to start early. So we had music going, right? So if you do it on Zoom, no problem. Have your music going as well. So when people join, they have their snacks as well. Obviously, you can change the time if your team starts at 8 or 9. It kind of depends on your org, but have that set time where everyone's getting together. In that first hour, it's set at a very specific time. You have snacks, you have food, you have drinks, you have music. So you're setting the vibe as people are hopping on or coming in, that it's a very set and focused environment for fun. And you're making sure to remove some excuses that I didn't eat breakfast and that type of stuff by making sure they got breakfast as part of it too. Now, once everybody's on, so obviously everyone should be prompt, right? It's really key that you have a very clear structure across the board, because the clearer the structure, the more execution that can drive towards it as well. So the first thing I like to focus on in hour number 1 is a very tactical training. If you are working closely with the team, or you can oversee your overall org, and you see common things they struggle with, maybe it is multi-threading, maybe it's understanding persona messaging, maybe it's org chart, maybe it's understanding KPIs, maybe it's understanding how to read a P&L statement, maybe it is learn how to read a 10K report, whatever it's going to be. These are key skills that you want to focus that hour on training on. So this is really, really important. It's a very targeted training designed to work on complex deals that will move the needle based off whatever the team is struggling with. And depending on what it is, you should obviously incorporate role plays or live plays and making sure you're reinforcing the skills as part of it as well. But this should be stuff that's going to help reinforce their skills and make them better, that they can take and immediately go apply that same day or in future calls down the road. For instance, I remember one time I was realizing that we were just getting too low into deals. And a lot of times we just kept booking these great meetings, which appear to be, but they were just low-level stakeholders. So one of the trainings was actually specifically on, hey, what are different levels of stakeholders based off the Miller-Hyman strategic selling, economic buyer, technical buyer, user buyer, and the coach. We went through all of that so they could understand what the roles each buyer could actually potentially have and why we want to go towards the economic buyer. And then on top of that, what type of messaging did we need to have on the phones, in our emails, in our LinkedIn messages to actually book meetings, get responses at that same level. So very, very tactical. It's not like this super high level training. It should be very tactical. So immediately after, they can go and deploy what they learned. So that's the first 50 minutes. Then to take a 10-minute break. Everyone takes a break, goes to the bathroom, gets some more water, gets some more coffee, get another snack or whatever. And then back at the next hour, we start going through deal reviews. Now we're not going to do 2 hours straight. We'll do a very similar cadence. We'll do 50 minutes on, 10-minute break, and then 50 minutes on again, and then another 10-minute break. But in that deal review, this is really, really fun to do as a team, to do a war room style. And what I mean by that is, you have one rep go up and they share their screen, or if you're in person, they put on the projector and pull it up on the whiteboard so everyone can see, and they walk through one of their bigger deals that's basically stalled out or has no progression or has been no action for, let's call it 30 or 60 days. And this is the opportunity for them to walk through the deal, all the stakeholders, what's going on in the account, the overall account map. And at the same time, the rest of the team can ask questions and also guide that rep on what to do next based off whatever they're stalled with. And the really cool part is because you have other reps kind of coaching them through, this actually gets them to start thinking about their own deals the same way, so they can start applying the same principle. But on top of that, because the whole team is working together, you feel more connected because everyone's running to kind of the same problem, the same challenge with all their deals as well. And the goal essentially is that rep gets to go through their deal and walk with a very clear action on exactly what to do next. So you give them about 10, 15 minutes to go through, and then you're on to the next rep. And if you do this properly, you'll be able to get through about 7 or 8 rounds of this, depending on your size of team, and each person will have a chance to at least go through one time. But the really cool part is this allows everyone to look at each other's deals, help each other out, and which also makes them better at their own job because they can apply the same principles to their own deals as well. Now, after that 2-hour block is over with the breaks, then we move on to the next couple hours, which is going to be execution. So this is hours 4 and 5, because right now, if you think about it, they got a lot of great ideas and principles to learn to implement in the training section. They got some great ideas to think through for their exact deals of what to do next. What we don't want them to do is to lose momentum and to not do those things. So when you create that environment next for the next couple hours is really executing on whatever they talked about. So whatever did they walk through, if they need to send an email, if they need to book a meeting, if they need to update their plan, they need to do outreach, or do more research, or reach out to their champion, whatever it's going to be. Now is the time for them to start working that opportunity to start moving that deal forward. Now, on top of that, this also gives them an opportunity to start thinking through about the rest of their deals in their pipeline that are also potentially stalled out or have not moved as well. And this is obviously could be their bigger deals, but also could be maybe some of their mid-sized deals as well, because the same principle of thinking of how can we look at our deal, challenge it, see potential pink flags, and move it forward towards a close. Now, what's really key here is what you don't want to do is say, all right, next 2 hours, go off and do it. You want to create some structure amongst the team with this. So again, I recommend that 15-minute block of the execution and then a 10-minute break. So here's how I did it. So it'd be 50 minutes of execution. They would go out, they'd be making calls, emails, doing research, doing all the things with their deals to move them forward. And then we took a break at that 50-minute mark, and we huddle as a team, we round table, and each person will go through and share what they accomplished in that last 50 minutes. And what you're doing, you're actually creating a cadence of accountability, because now they're going to be executing on those things. Now, a little side note, because some people who are watching this, you might be thinking, well, some of my reps are maybe a little newer, they don't have the deals kind of worked through, or some of them, are just like not skilled to have those type of deals quite yet. Well, this is also a great time, if they don't have deals to kind of think through, is to also build lists of working the larger opportunities and start doing outreach directly to start building a pipeline. So you can see this structure is designed to be flexible so you can generate more pipeline, move deals in the pipeline, and also close pipeline as well. But the goal is advancing their skills, getting them more strategic, and building that time and environment for them to be highly successful. So going back to the round table, you get 50 minutes to execute, like I mentioned, and then a 10-minute, they're basically recapping high level what they accomplished in the hour, and they did take their break, and then boom, they run another 50 minutes, and they do the same thing at the top of the hour as well, which they circle around, they share. Now, here's what's really, really cool, because, I've been doing this process for well over a decade. So this wasn't available at that time. But now what's really cool is when the team is actually putting in their account plans, they're working some of their deals, and they're mapping out their whole deal, they can also leverage AI together in the war rooms, and they can submit the whole thing in and look for red flags like that. That's wildly powerful. In fact, that's something I recommend for every deal gets done, regardless if it's a large deal or not, because you can use AI like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude to throw your deal in, have them act as a world-class strategist to identify the pink flags and areas that potentially could cause the deal to basically derail. So if your team's not already doing that, that's something you can actually train on inside one of these target times. But then during the war rooms or during the execution period, they can be going through and running their deal through AI to identify those pink flags to move towards a close as well. So let's talk about why this works. And the reason is we're combining a lot of different things here, which is, we're talking about strategy as part of it. We're building their skills, and we're creating the time for deep work. And we're kind of collaborating together as a team. We're able to build a lot of momentum together to go towards actually moving deals forward. But on top of that, a lot of times, our teams, our individual reps almost feel like lone wolves out there trying to move deals themselves, trying to close this, trying to hit their number themselves, and it can feel very, very lonely. This creates a level of camaraderie to work together, to learn, to grow, and to progress their skills. But on top of that, because of the way we structured it, there's also created a lot of accountability and that internal pressure that drives them to actually show up and take action as well, because it is hard to do deep work, because some of these things that they're implementing on, it may not yield an immediate fast result. It might be seeds they're planting today that they may not see the benefit for 6 to 12 months out. So we want to create the habit with the team of having that long-term horizon to think through by doing the short-term actions today. And that's why this target time was something that we ran every single month without fail. And it was pretty much almost always on the last Friday of each month. Now, if we didn't do it on last Friday, because maybe it's a holiday or whatever, we would adjust it accordingly to a different time in the month. But we still made sure we made it happen, because I knew it would help the team become better long-term wise. We load more deals in the pipeline, but also we move a lot of deals forward, which is obviously great for hitting our number as well. Maybe not necessarily this quarter, but it could be in the next quarter or the following 2 or 3 quarters in the future. So look, here's the reality. Your reps, your team, your org will always default to working the easy stuff. That's just because it's human nature. Unless you create the structure that forces them to focus on what actually matters. And I can't iterate enough. Target time isn't just another meeting. It's a systematic way to unlock the stalled biggest deals in your pipeline and to develop your team skills to work complex opportunities. And the key is the structure. That's 5 hours once a month on the 4th Friday with targeted training, group strategizing, and immediate execution. And plus, now obviously you can leverage AI to identify the blind spots and accelerate deal progression in real time. And I'll tell you right now, when we first started doing this, yes, some of the reps are like, oh, I don't know if I can afford to lose that time out in the field, whatever. But once they start seeing the benefits, a few months after, and they're quite large, they started to be religious about. But on top of that, we had a number of reps who actually wanted us to do it every single week as part of it. Now, at the very least, it might be hard to do every single week, but if you can at least create the structure for once a month that you're doing it as a team, and you give them the option to choose what they want to do maybe every single week, it's amazing how you can really load your pipeline with massive deals in a relatively short period of time. And If you're managing a team and you're not seeing movement on your biggest deals are stalling out, this potentially is the missing piece. Now, speaking of systematic approaches to revenue growth, I'm part of a group in which we're putting together Midnight to Millions, which is a 24-hour global sales event featuring 24 top experts across the world sharing real tactics on sales, outbound, rev ops, and more. I mean, like I mentioned, I had one recent client had a rep on his team close a $180 million deal, a 5-year deal. They get paid $9 million in commission. So the stuff we're going to be teaching isn't theory. This is what actually works. Click the link below to register for it. It's completely free. Now, if this target time breakdown added value to you, make sure to hit subscribe or follow wherever you're watching or listening to this. I bring you the real system that top performing sales orgs actually use. No fluff, just what works. I'll see you in the next one.